of him who saves us by his blood. Let us put down roots to deep water. Let us drink from the fountain of life. And we shall be like trees planted by the waters, planted by rivers wide and deep. Trees green and fruitful, bearing fruit of love in the vineyard of the King. Come, let us grow in the grace and knowledge of God's Spirit by which we're sealed, studying the riches of his word. Let us eat of the bread that he gives, and we shall be like trees planted by the waters, planted by rivers wide and deep. Trees green and fruitful, bearing fruit of love in the vineyard of the King. Come, let us grow in the grace and knowledge of he who calls us by his Son. Let us gather now at his table. Let us feast on the richest of food. And we shall be like trees planted by the waters, planted by rivers wide and deep. Trees green and fruitful, bearing fruit of love in the vineyard of the King.
Good morning. We made it today. Didn't plan on being so late. But, time has a way of slipping into the future. Oh, it is a lovely, lovely morning out. How you doing, Sister T? Yeah. We are Amos decided to come down and um, um, sell some stuff at a swap meet. So we're here in Greenfield, a town about 30 minutes or so, 35 minutes away from home at a swap meet. And he came down yesterday with O'Shea, and they spent the day down here. And I came down today so that O'Shea could get work done around the house and around home. And so I'm down here, and just watching how things are going, and it's fun. It's fascinating. Amount of people that come through. You guys have flea markets, and this is probably similar in nature to a flea market. But there's a lot of buying. There's a lot of selling. Obviously, if there's so many people are buying, but there's a lot of swapping going on as well. Just a lot of stuff. So Amos might possibly get some interest. Might have an interest here, an interested customer. There's some really interesting vehicles going around because people are running around in golf carts and four wheelers, scooters. I saw one guy had went and took a lawnmower and made a removed the seat off of it and put a bench. Basically made his own bench seat with a few planks of wood. Thought that was pretty interesting. It has at least two, if not more, people on it. So that was pretty cool. Good morning, O'Shea. Good evening, Sam. Sam says I was so involved in making my lesson for Sunday, I had to clean up my notes. And when I looked up, it was 10:22. I noticed because my wife went in to bed, or took the little girl to bed. Alicia's on tech. Amy and Ezra are back over at the garage sale with my sister-in-law, and we're parked right next to Amos's boss. And I don't know. I think O'Shea's boss finally made it down here, but I'm not sure. Yes, O'Shea. That's exactly the one I'm thinking of. Or I'm talking about. Has the red top on it. Hello, CJ. Well, if you had gotten up, you could have done it. But I seem to recall somebody saying you can't pay me to get up that early. Good morning, Heather. Good to see you. Let's just say that I'm really glad that I don't have any cash with me. And Shay says, yeah, I think there's two of those guys actually. One has the one you saw, but then there's another who has a similar setup, but all chrome engine piece. I see. This one's just running around the place looking, I think, at the moment. Oh my, I'm tired. Really tired. Nah, you weren't on Devo, CJ. Oh, I wasn't sure if I was going to do it or not. But I thought about having O'Shea, but I want him to get things done. That's the reason why I had him stay home. So I almost, but I figured, well, I might as well go ahead and get to it. So I'm sitting in here in the Blazer, gonna go ahead and go for it. Sam said CJ forgot about me as well. What did he forget about you? Yeah, I'm certainly hoping that Amos sells, most of his mowers that he brought. That way we don't have to load them back up. And Shay says, yeah, there was Chrome guy. He's selling all Chrome stuff. He has tables full, piled high of Chrome. He set up somewhere behind us. Like I can see. I mean, look at how bad Amos's window is back there. Sam says Friday was yesterday. Yeah, Friday was yesterday. I was gonna do that yesterday. I mean, gonna stream, and then I had to drop the wife off for the garage sale so she could help my sister-in-law with the garage sale. Next thing I know, I'm the one running around setting up signs, and I can't stream because signal's wonky in and out and in and out and in and out. And so by the time I get done with that, I'd message CJ saying, "Hey, can you do Devo?" And he didn't wake up until like almost 10:30 my time. I'd pushed it back a half hour, and when I realized I was going to not going to be able to make the half hour, I messaged CJ, and then I texted him, and he's like, "Oops, well, I just got up." It's like, dude. Oh, that's right. What in the world? Okay. Do. Chrome? You see a lot of chrome, Teresa, on vehicles. That's that shiny. That's the shiny silver stuff. I'll put a plug in here. You guys see that CJ's got a round table going this evening with Desmond and a couple other people. He and Paul Mays and is his name Archer? Warner Ruel. Um, he, Paul Mays, and another brother are going to go a round table with Desmond and another and a couple of his friends, and this evening. So if you get an opportunity and are able to tune in for that. And CJ's been preparing for that all week. So pray for that one for success. Man, I just can't believe how many people are here. Huge amount of people. Yeah, CJ's. As I said, if you get opportunity to watch it or to tune in, but just make sure you pray for it. Yeah, yeah. I knew there was going to be a lot of people, O'Shea. It's just that you never really prepared for it. Um, even then. And yes, it will be on during my time as, during reading. So um, don't miss reading for it. Just keep praying. uh, Let me just show you guys what I'm talking about. Uh, da, 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 da. Settings. I'll just give you a quick look and see what's going on out here in front of me. I don't know how much you can see, but that's looking at where we're at. Kid in the hat there, the big hat, black hat, that's Amos. So, Sam saw it on Facebook. It looks like it's going to be quite a round table. It does. Amos is showing potential. This kid uh, about his simplicity lawnmower. The simplicity there Amos has an kind of like an almost an articulating rear, so it'll go over bumps and stuff and a lot easier. But that one also includes a snow blower as well as the deck, so worth a pretty penny. So, but I mean, there's just all sorts of things here. This swap meet sets up at the county fair at the fairgrounds, and it takes up the entirety of the fairgrounds. So that's true, Sam. That's true. It won't get you to heaven. Amos said it sounded like my dad was going to be here a little bit later today too. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into the Devo. We're doing lesson 68 of the I Grow Daily Devotional book, a book written by Philip Johnson, produced by Focus Press. I don't have the book with me here today, so we'll just have to run off of what you remember of the cover. There's a link in the description, link in the chat, and link scrolling across the screen under the hair of my chinny chin chin. We're going to put a minute, and we're going to meditate on this thought from Colossians 1:28. I was created to become like Christ. Let's read Colossians 1:28. Him we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that we may present every man perfect in Christ Jesus. I was created to become like Jesus Christ. 1 minute. Let's put 4 minutes on the clock as we read uh, Psalm 59. Psalm 59. To the chief musician set to, do not destroy, a Michtam of David, when Saul sent men and they watched the house in order to kill him. Deliver me from mine enemies, O my God. Defend me from those who rise up against me. Deliver me from the workers of iniquity, and save me from bloodthirsty men. 3 up, Alicia. For look, they lie in wait for my life. The mighty gather against me, not for my transgression, nor for my sin, O Lord. They run and prepare themselves through no fault of mine. Awake to help me, and behold, you therefore, O Lord God of hosts, the God of Israel, awake to punish all the nations. Do not be merciful to any wicked transgressors. At evening they return. They growl like a dog, and all go around the city. Indeed, they belch with their mouth. Swords are in their lips. They come on, Alicia, for they say, who hears? But you, come on, Alicia. But you, O Lord, shall laugh at them. You shall have all the nations in derision. I will wait for you, O you, his strength, for God is my defense. My God of mercy shall come to me, meet me. God shall let me see my desire on my enemies. Do not slay them, lest my people forget. Scatter them by your power, and bring them down, O Lord, our shield. For the sin of their mouth and the words of their lips, let them even be taken in their pride, and for the cursing and lying which they speak. 13 up. Consume them in wrath, consume them, that they may not be, and let them know that God rules in Jacob to the ends of the earth. And at evening they return, they growl like a dog, and go all around the city. They wander up and down for food, and howl if they are not satisfied. But I will sing of your power. Yes, I will sing aloud of your mercy in the morning, for you have been my defense and refuge in the day of my trouble. To you, O my strength, I will sing praises, for my God is my defense, my God of mercy. Psalm 59. Let's put 4 minutes there. Let's put however many minutes we need on the questions. 5 minutes, evidently. Um, as we reflect on our answer to these 5 questions. Question number one: what is one important lesson you learned from Psalm 59? You have a great day, Sister Heather. May you be blessed by God this day. You gonna star those, Alicia? Question number two. Read Matthew 5:44 through 48. How does Jesus? Are you sure this comes from this lesson? Matthew 5:44 through 48. How does Jesus want us to treat our enemies? But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, and do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven, for he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward have you? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet your brethren only, what do you do more than others? Do not even the tax collectors do so? Therefore, you shall be perfect, just as your Father in heaven is perfect.
Attention on the ground. Attention on the ground. We have a white town and country, Union County, Iowa, LUR 392. You are in the handicap gate into that area. You need to move it now. Tow truck is on its way.
Question number 3. Is it difficult for you to turn in your life for strength? Alyssa, you want to read that one again? She's correcting it, Teresa. That's a little bit different, Alicia. Is it difficult for you to fulfill this command? Hello, Sister Debbie. We're in Psalm 59. Question number 4. Question number 4. Thank you. Why? We just asked the question, is it difficult for you to fulfill the command to love your enemies? And why on your answer? Hmm. Are you sure that's not inflated to $3.25 there, Debbie?
See, I figure when I'm dead, John, I'll leave all my projects. Yeah, more projects.
Debbie, we're at a swap meet. Just in case you're wondering why I'm in the blazer today. We're at a swap meet. Amos brought me down here, and we're having a grand old time, or I would be. Um, Grand old time that way, but this time I'm having a grand old time with the Devo right now. Oh, excuse me. Question number 5 then. Where do you turn in your life for strength?
Does that mean it's both? No. Don, Don, just quit. Get back for the block. Right? Like that. Right. Get back over there, big dog. That's for you, dog. Back.
Question number 1. 6. Let's see, you only gave me 5. 6. In what ways has God shown you his loving kindness? I think I should have brought me some wood to whittle. That way I can have a little bit of wood. Oh, the buggy went by, Shea. It's a two-seater. We should have brought some of those license plates. We could have brought them down. CJ didn't like my little bit of wood. Question. This is all there is, right, Alicia? There's only six. What I like is, see if I can get it done here real quick. Nope, I'm not gonna make it. Okay. See a scooter go by and it has a little wagon attached to the back of it. All right, question number one. What is one important lesson you learned from Psalm 59? Sam says God will deliver us from those who wish to harm us. Question two, or I mean, answer two. Teresa said God is merciful. Next. CJ says the Lord is our shield. Verse 11. Sam offers a second one, even though it said only one. I'm just teasing, bud. The wicked planning against the righteous will fail. How do we, how do we, um, how do we mesh the ideas of God will deliver us from those who seek us harm with the idea or the where did Amos go? Anyway, with the idea of blessed are you when men persecute you. Do not fear those who will kill the body.
Can't honestly answer that. I can't remember which
Um, there he is. CJ says there's an afterlife. You know, David talks a lot about how God will deliver me from mine enemies. That type of situation. And we talk about that quite frequently, but does God always deliver us from those who wish us harm? Is God actively delivering us from those who persecute us today? God didn't deliver Jesus from those who persecuted him. Certainly at times he did, didn't he? I mean, we know that God, or that there were people that actively sought um, to slay him, and yet found no occasion until the very end, because that was God's plan. But Jesus told his disciples that there were going to be people that were going to kill them. But no, CJ, that's not the case. He didn't deliver him from them, he delivered him from Satan and the power of sin, the power of death. That's a different there's a difference in semantics. There's I know, but there's a difference in um in concept as well. Because the concept is, how do we mesh the idea that God will deliver us from those who seek our harm, as in the people about us, people who are going to persecute us. We already know on a spiritual sense, we understand that on a spiritual sense. Mm, But when we look at it on a physical sense, how are we delivered from those who wish us harm? Are we? And Paul talks about it. Peter talks about it. Especially First Peter chapters 3, 4, and 5, 2, 3, and 4. He specifically in all of those mentions their persecutions and how they will be blessed, and how that they will be persecuted. Um, the fact of the matter is that as Christians, we will be persecuted. We will not, in every case, be delivered from those who seek our physical harm. And yet, David was looking at physical deliverance. He was not necessarily looking at a spiritual deliverance. So when we look at when we look at the Psalm 59, and how David says, "You will deliver me from mine enemies," not God will not all not every enemy will fail. Not every plan against us will fail in the short term. But there is And I wish I could remember which one it was that said this, but he was being burned at the stake, um, as I recall, it was by the Spanish Inquisition. And he basically looked at them and he said, I'm going to paraphrase, but um, he said, if you kill me, you take from me that which is not mine, and you give to me that which I most long for. And our victory is never in this world. If we are always focused upon a physical deliverance, a physical victory, we are focusing in the wrong place. Let's see, bring up verse 13, please. Uh, Psalm 59. Consume them in wrath, consume them that they may not be, and let them know that God reigns in Jacob, rules in Jacob to the ends of the earth. How do we know that David was not looking towards the spiritual? For the simple fact that his entire psalm here is dealing with physical deliverance. Notice, CJ, what is the description of this particular psalm? In the beginning, this was a psalm when Saul's men surrounded his house and were watching his house that they might destroy him. And David was calling down a, God's judgment on them. God, in a very real way, delivered David physically from his enemies. We see that by the fact of how often David was able to escape from his enemies, whether it was because someone alerted him, like Micah, for example, who helped him escape from his enemies and then laid a bolster and a log in the bed to make it look like, David was sleeping. Um, or, other ways that he was delivered. For example, the deep sleep that fell upon Saul and company when David was able to walk in, grab the cruse of water, the spear that was at his head, and walk right back out. One can say for certainty that God played a part in that. Um, God for really was there and literally physically, or I should say physically delivered, or delivered David from his physical enemies. And, David asked God to judge his enemies. We might not always be delivered from the enemy, but in David's case, it was God's will not to harm, not to be harmed, even Saul, because it was God's will he be king of Israel. Um, the very next verse, at evening they return, they growl like a dog and go all around the city. And it shows, as we go through this psalm, uh, David asked them to ask God to scatter them, yet, to destroy them. And yet the enemies still come back. They still growl, they still slink around. Enemies usually do. They keep coming back. They're like coyotes. But, we need to be conscious that God preserves his saints in ways spiritual. And there are times, that, I mean, and he will preserve us physically as well. Um, but not every time. Not every plan against us will fail. And some of that is because we need that adversity to grow, to change, and to become what God wants us to become. We need some of that is because, um, we brought it upon ourselves. Why would death consume them? Why wouldn't death consume them? Is death the only way, CJ, that God consumes people? Okay, what other ways does God consume people?
I'm going to use the restroom.
Okay. What other ways does God consume people? Sam says unrepented person will be consumed by death that brought upon themselves. Teresa has to go. You have a good day, sister. CJ says letting them go off into sin, I suppose. But is that God consuming them? Or is that letting them go their own way? See, Romans 1:29 through 31, God gave them up, but that doesn't say that God consumed them. To consume essentially means to eat, if you will. Um, as in, let's use a common analogy: a fire will consume its fuel. Um, it's uh-oh. Oh, great, guys, my temperature's getting a little too hot on my phone. Um, which means if I shut down, I guess we'll end the stream there and come back again uh, Monday. But one of the things, if it does, I want you to continue thinking about, unless you bring up verse 13 again, please. I want you to think about that consuming. What does to consume mean? If David's asking them to consume, asking God to consume him, consume his enemies.
Well, remember your answers for next week for Monday because I am going to let Levi continue this. So, thanks you all and God bless.